Sometimes we just might be taking for granted how much a blessing it is to have a burger for lunch. Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day 3 of Ray A. We are still in Deuteronomy chapter number 12. Let's drop down to verse number 20, which says, "When Yahweh your Elohim enlarges your border as he has promised you, and you say, 'Let me eat meat,' because you long to eat meat, you eat as much meat as your being desires. When the place where Yahweh your Elohim chooses to put his name is too far for you, then you shall slaughter from your herd or from your flock which Yahweh has given you, as I have commanded you, and you shall eat within your gates as much as your being desires. Only as the gazelle and the deer are eaten, so you are to eat it. The unclean and the clean alike eat of it. Only be strong not to eat the blood, for the blood is the life. Do not eat the life with the meat." Now, Yah has, beginning in verse number 10, began to outline some ideas pertaining to the security and stability of an enlarged border. When Israel went into the land, they were not going to immediately possess all of the land, but he said, little by little, you will be able to drive out the inhabitants. And as you learn to control what I have put into your hands, the borders would be enlarged. There seems to be then this idea that with stability and security, that there is a mindset that wants to eat meat. Rashi, the ancient Torah commentator, says this, and I quote, "A person should not desire to eat meat except out of the broadness of hands and wealth." So someone that is struggling finances, in their finances or in their overall life picture, it may be that they would eat more of a casual diet. I've heard of college students and so forth that didn't have a lot of money and they lived on ramen noodles. Not a good idea, but it's cheap and easy food, and you can subside on it. It's just not healthy. It's not good for you, but nonetheless, other people talking about living on peanut butter. I remember a couple many years ago, husband got hurt at work and couldn't work and didn't have what we would call workers' comp in those days. And she said, we learned to eat a lot of hot dogs. Again, not a healthy diet, but that's how they lived. And that's what they did. They got through it. So eating meat, here in America, we don't think anything about it. We have meat for Shabbat meals. We have meat for our backyard barbecues. We eat a sandwich with lunch meat on it or a burger or something. Go through Chick-fil-A and get some kind of chicken sandwich perhaps for lunch. And then we have meat again at supper. So breakfast meat, lunch meat, and dinner meat, supper meat. We eat it all the time. Well, what is that saying to us? What it says is that in our American lifestyle, whether we recognize it or not, is that we have a prevailing sense of stability and security. Things are sufficient and that we are satisfied. Now, much could be going on wrong in the earth, and there's a long list. Just take your pick. And America is not what it has been in some respects. It's not that it can't be, but it's just presently isn't. We hear quite a bit about inflation and exorbitant prices and people struggling. Laura and I had a conversation, I think it was here recently, about the high prices of housing. What do people do? How do people live? Just going out to eat used to be a casual thing. We didn't think much about it. Now it's It's a special event for many. What it says to us is that the stability, the security, the sense of safety and sufficiency is beginning to fade. When these things take place, we begin to reevaluate what's important. What is our priority? Young parents would say, well, we need to make sure that our children have what they need as much as is possible. The stories may begin to rise again where a parent would eat much less in order to have food for their children. We began to lay aside hobbies and projects that would improve the house and so on. We realign our values. We eat all the time, and we eat meat casually. I think Yah may be trying to say something to us, especially when we go back and we go to Exodus or Shemot chapter number 16, where manna is introduced. And yet in the sense of eating manna, Israel still lusted for meat. And Yah says, well, I'll give you quail, and I'll give you quail in great abundance. When we think about that, manna is not only bread from heaven, it is not only the purest form of food. This is no ramen noodles laying on the ground. This is energizing, life-giving, life-sustaining, flavorful, agreeable food for the human body that Yah says, by my own hand, I will lay it right out on the ground for you. All you need to do is go outside your tent and gather what it is that you need for the day, and it will sustain you, and it will take care of you, and you will be healthy and strong. But we want meat. When we realize what they were saying in context now of chapter 12 here, it could be that we're saying, okay, we have the revelation of the Messiah, but we don't feel secure, and we don't feel stable, and we don't have sufficiency. There is yet something craving on the inside of us. We want a burger for lunch in their mindset. That is, we want something that we feel like that we are celebrating life and that we're in a good place. Is not Yeshua able to grant that to us? When we feel like that we have to have something in addition to Messiah in order to make us feel like life is good. Those of us who gather in congregations on a weekly basis and we see the familiar faces, and there's the hugs and the encouragement and the edification and the mutual sharing and the oneg times of food together, and we dance together, we sing together, and we have a great time. What if, like many of the rest of us on this page, you celebrate Shabbat by yourself, and there's not that opportunity? Those that do not have congregational opportunity very well may be more mature and developed than those of us who have such benefit, in that they have found the purity of Messiah is sufficient. The manna that falls on them on Shabbat and daily through the week, spiritual manna, they find the greater beauty, the greater intensity of Messiah, because they're not eating meat in a fellowship type setting, if you follow what I'm saying. I'm thankful for our congregation. I'm glad that many of you have this, but I want to encourage and celebrate those who find Messiah, even though they don't have a burger for lunch during the week. and that they are finding the strength and the life that can come only from him. May those of us who have others around us likewise find him so pure. I'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, shalom.